Hi, this is Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com, back here on WagerTalk TV with your college basketball top 25 video for this Saturday, March the 9th, the final regular season Saturday of the college basketball season. But don't you worry, we're in March. Conference tournaments have begun. The big boy conference tournaments start next week, and then the NCAA tournament starts the week after that. Selection Sunday, St. Patrick's Sunday on March 17th. So, look, it's a huge card this final Saturday of the regular season, and we've got three top 25 matchups and also a bonus matchup that was just a bit outside for making the cut. So I'm going to preview four of the biggest college basketball games for this Saturday, March the 9th. Free for you right here on this video. I'm going to let you know how to play them and make some money. In the meantime, don't forget to get my official best bets right now for Saturday at WagerTalk.com. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. My strongest college basketball best bets. I've got a multi-pack for this Saturday, and you don't want to miss it. Late in the season is an excellent time to be making money in college hoops, and I am dialed in. In fact, I am number one all-time in units won for both college and pro basketball sides combined. Nobody has won more, up over 180 units of profit since I joined Wager Talk over 3 years ago. Cash in this Saturday, and don't forget a free bonus play on the page as well right now. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. Get there quicker with shortcut wt.buzz/sm. And don't forget a 25% instant discount on any all-access package this weekend with promo code SM25. All right, let's go down in start time order. First two games go at 4 o'clock Eastern this Saturday afternoon. And we're going to start right off with maybe one of the biggest plays or biggest matchups of the entire month, if not the season. It's a great revenge situation for the number one team in the country. And the KenPoms, they've been ranked number one for quite a while. But Houston still went into Kansas and lost earlier this season. Can the Cougars get their revenge? Most likely, yes. One thing I love about second meetings is we can dig into the box score from the earlier meeting. But the other thing I like, too, is that there's situational setups that work year after year, and a lot of those angles apply to this game. First of all, with revenge, we like to play strong teams, strong home courts, Class A teams, and that's definitely the Houston Cougars here. Houston overall this season's been fantastic at home. In fact, they are a perfect 16-0 at home. And meanwhile, Kansas has been a much weaker team away from home. 15-1 straight up at home, including that upset win as a 1-point home dog against Houston earlier this season. But the Jayhawks are just 7-7 straight up, just a 500 team when traveling. That loss, of course, was a 13-point loss by Houston on the road. They trailed by 15 back on February 3rd. I talked about that here on the Saturday Top 25 video over a month ago. And digging into the box score, lots of things jump out to you. First of all, Kansas shot 69% from the field, 46% overall from three-point range. And what's crazy about that is Houston at the time and still is the number one rated defensive team in the country out of 362 teams. So just remarkable. Kansas was able to do that. Once again, a very strong home court. It was a focused and motivated spot, but I think the focus will now be with the Houston Cougars in this rematch. Another thing I'll point out from that game last month, another crazy part of the box score, Kansas 18 turnovers, Houston had 3. So it's really remarkable that they got blown out. And normally you'd say, well, Kansas actually could play better, and they still won. But the fact they had that many turnovers at home, I do think that swarming Houston defense caused problems. Kansas just couldn't miss, and I doubt they're going to shoot as well on the road. This looks like a good last home game, strong home court with revenge angle for the number one team in the country, the strongest team in the country. Take a look at the Houston Cougars. That game tips off at 4 o'clock Eastern on ESPN. And as I do this video Friday evening, the lines have just come out within the last hour or so at 3 or 4 major sports books. Houston's currently sitting as an 8.5-point home favorite. Totals around 137. That's the early line on Friday night. Next game also goes at 4 o'clock Eastern Saturday. And by the way, that's number 14 Kansas against number 1 Houston. Next game also at 4 Eastern on CBS, number 15 Kentucky against number 14 Tennessee. Talk about a situation in which the polls make no sense. And I've always said I don't pay attention to the rankings. I use it for this video. I use it for the college football video. There's certain situational handicapping angles I use with the rankings because it is a little bit of a public data source. And you know I love to fade the public, especially in the NFL. But Tennessee right now is the 5th rated team in the KenPoms. That's just outside a 1 seed. There's lots of talk right now that Tennessee in the NCAA tournament probably is a 1 seed, yet they're only ranked 14th. So the ranking really doesn't jive there. They've already clinched, by the way, the regular season championship in the SEC. So this game theoretically does not matter as far as seeding goes for the tournament next week. But as far as Tennessee holding on to maybe getting a 1 seed, it is important. And the odds makers expect them to come to play. In fact, the early line on Friday night right now is Tennessee minus 8. We even saw it as high as 9. It's been anywhere from minus 8 to 9 at the opener. Looks like it's suddenly more around minus 8. Totals around 166 to 167 range. First game, this is a second meeting. These teams played back on February 3rd, the same time that Kansas and Houston played. And if you recall, that Saturday, February 3rd was the first time in history we had 4 top 10 matchups. 4 of the matchups were top 10s, and this was another high-profile matchup that Saturday. Tennessee never trailed at Kentucky as a 1-point dog. They put up 103 points, and they shot extremely well from the field, but so did Kentucky. Both teams shot lights out. Tennessee, though, got to the free throw line 7 more times. Both teams were equal on 3-point shots, but Tennessee was plus 4 from the 2-point range, plus 7 from the free throw line, never trailed. They were the better team. But Kentucky is playing better basketball now than they were a month ago. So this looks like a pretty heavy point spread, especially if the home favorite isn't fully focused. So the total might be the better play here, and over is the only way to play it. You know, everyone talks about that tough Tennessee defense, but what gets overlooked is that Tennessee does like to play up tempo, and they're a very good offense as well. Kentucky's a great offense, 8th best in the country, but only 100th in defensive efficiency. I think the over makes sense. Again, it might seem obvious, it might seem too easy, but look at it this way. Home teams normally dictate the tempo. Tennessee never trailed on the road, put up 103 points and won and covered, playing a fast-paced, high-scoring game. They're not going to change their ways. They've already clinched the number 1 seed, and Kentucky's definitely not going to change their ways even after losing that game last month because they have to play fast. They're all offense. I think this is another track meet, and over 166 would be the way to play it, in my opinion. All right, both of those games go at 4 o'clock Eastern. Let's look at the next game at 6 o'clock Eastern on ESPN in the ACC. 2 top 10 teams, number 7, North Carolina, at number 9, Duke. This is the 50th time these two teams have met each other when they're both ranked in the top 10. It's really remarkable. And guess who has the series lead when that's the case? North Carolina, 25 to 24. That's how tight this series has been. It's the 50th time. We'll see if Duke can equal things, and most likely they will. They're a small home favorite for good reason. Strong home court, last home game, and just like Houston, with revenge. Duke currently is about a 4.5-point favorite on the early line Friday night. Totals around 150 on the over-under, 49.5 to 150. And I do like Duke in this spot for several reasons. First of all, strong home court with revenge always catches your eye. And as I mentioned, Duke checks the box there. It's also a revenge game from last month. Those teams also played, by the way, on February 3rd. This is another one of those top 10 matchups we had a month ago on Saturday. Digging into the box score, Duke shot just 26% from 3-point range on the road, 5 for 19. North Carolina was 38%. In fact, North Carolina was plus 12 points from beyond the arc and only won by 9 at home. So I think that bodes well for Duke here in the rematch. And something else I'll point out here, if you look at the efficiency rankings, the tempo rankings on the Ken Palms right now, Duke is 7th, North Carolina is 8th. They're dead even. Both defenses rather have a slight edge over the opposing offense. But the Duke likes to play a lot slower, 240th in tempo, North Carolina 43rd fastest. That game last month did become a track meet, obviously with 177 points. That favored North Carolina. That's why they were able to pull away and win at home. I think Duke will slow things down on their home court, and home teams normally dictate tempo. So I look for a slower game, which favors Duke. Home court, strong home court, revenge, last home game. It also would probably favor the under. So I do think Duke and the under somewhat correlated here. Duke minus 4.5 and under the 150. That goes at 6:30 Eastern tonight on Saturday. All right, those are your 3 top 25 head-to-head matchups. There's one other bonus game I'm going to get to in a moment for you for Saturday night. Game that was just a bit outside, but the unranked team, if they pull the win, I think will be ranked next week. I'll get to that for you free in a moment. Quick reminder, if you want my official best bets for this Saturday, March the 9th, go get them right now on my page, Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. Single games are 25 or get the multi-pack for just 29. It's a great way to sample my strong best bet Saturday. But if you're serious about winning consistently, you really should play consistently each and every day. And this is the time to get on board a direct subscription because through this weekend only, an instant 25% discount on any all-access package when you use promo code SM25. That's SM25. Full details are on my page right now, along with a bonus free play. Check out those daily free plays. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. Get there quicker with shortcut WT.buzz/SM. All right, let's look at that bonus game for you here on the way out. And this is going to be a game at 6 o'clock Eastern on ESPN2. Number 11 Baylor against unranked Texas Tech. But if you look at the additional votes, Texas Tech is ranked 29th, so they're pretty close to coming in here. Number 11 Baylor, number 29-ish Texas Tech if you look at the additional rankings. And I do think this is another situation in which we have a very interesting situation because we have an unranked home favorite in Texas Tech against a ranked opponent. We all know how these unranked home favorites have done the last couple of years. They pulled many upsets, although it's not an upset when the point spread favorite wins, but the networks, the talking pundits on the non-betting shows will say it's an upset. And the betting market is saying that very well could happen here. As we check the early line on Friday, we see Texas Tech is about a 2.5-point favorite here at Baylor at 6 o'clock Eastern on Saturday night. And it's a good matchup for Texas Tech as well here, as it is a revenge spot. Line's actually about -2 here on this 6 o'clock Eastern game. Total, by the way, about 147.5. And Texas Tech, of course, does have revenge. They lost back on February 6th, a Tuesday, about a month ago, 79-73. They only trailed by 1 at the half. What does concern me, though, with that box score is if you look at it, Texas Tech was plus 12 points from three-point range and still lost by 6. So they got outscored by 14 points from the free throw line and 2-point range, but 12 of those 14 points were from the free throw line. They had a 32-16 deficit in free throw attempts. Now, Baylor does get to the line more often than Texas Tech, but once again, home teams normally get to the line a bit more than they do on the road. So I would expect a little bit of a better showing there. But that box score does concern you a bit, as Texas Tech had the three-point edge, and Baylor was only 5 for 18, by the way, 28%. And Texas Tech still was able to lose that game, or Baylor still able to win that game, rather, shooting just 28% from three. But the setup here is pretty good otherwise. A 14-2 strong home court, last home game in with revenge, and the unranked favorite angle against a ranked team. So there's a lot of things pointing towards Texas Tech -2 in this game at 6 o'clock Eastern. All right, those are 4 of the biggest college basketball games for this Saturday, March the 9th. Comment below. Let me know your thoughts on the other games here that catch your eye, where you see some value, where you think there is value here on this college basketball card. Let's win together on this Saturday, March the 9th. Comment below. I read all the comments. I reply back. Hey, throw in some of those conference tournaments. You know, a lot of the games on Saturdays don't have lines yet because they played on Friday. My William and Mary Tribe, they won big, never in doubt on Friday. Tough matchup Saturday afternoon with Towson. Let me know your thoughts on some of those conference tournaments as well, and throw in some analysis. I love to see everybody's thought. I honestly believe we have the sharpest and smartest sports bettors viewing WagerTalk TV on a daily basis. And if you haven't already done so, hit subscribe so you're part of the family. Click that bell for instant alerts. I'll have NCAA Fade the Public videos when the tournament begins in a couple weeks. You don't want to miss those. So click that bell for instant alerts. And also thumbs up, like, if you're finding this free content useful. And don't forget, once again, if you want my strongest best bets this Saturday, along with that bonus free play, go to my page right now, Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com, and be sure to use promo code SM25 for any direct subscription. Get an instant 25% discount this week. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. Hey, on the way out, don't forget to follow me on Twitter and X at Steve Merril, 2 R's, 1 L, at Steve Merril on Twitter and X. Also post free plays throughout the week on Instagram, on IG. And stay tuned right here to WagerTalk TV for more great college and pro basketball previews and betting information coming up next. In the meantime, have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you again soon right here on WagerTalk TV.